All right, everyone, we start off talking today about a false situation that some people are positing where they speculate that there is a middle ground or a sort of link between one side and the other, which is supporting freedom or being in favor of or at least tolerant towards tyranny. I'm here to tell you that there is no middle ground. Now, there's no compromise to be made in that particular situation because of human nature, if you look at political reality over thousands of years. Now, first and foremost, there will be a pinned comment, if you're watching on YouTube, to 4 other sites that I use to upload videos. Especially if you're not on BitChute, you're not even getting one of the videos I make each day. I make exclusives. There will be a big announcement in the coming weeks. I'm going to be shifting more of my effort towards alt tech. So those sites, those are the main presence now. YouTube, other than live streaming at the moment, has become almost a backup, simply because of algorithmic manipulation. So there will be a pinned comment. There will also be links in the description, as always. You can join me there. You can share out the YouTube link, but I encourage you openly to delete your Twitter account. I've lost about 8,000 people over the last few days on Twitter. May it be 8,000 more. In fact, I wish I'd lose all 90,000 of them. I hope they fucking outright ban me. At this point, I don't give a fuck about their platform, especially because it's goddamn useless. Same with Facebook and stuff. I'm using my account there as a placeholder. Anyway, I'm all in on free speech. I have been since day one that I showed up on YouTube and everywhere else on the internet. I have never once supported censorship of any kind on anyone. I can joke about how funny it would be if leftists get banned because they support banning people, but even them, at the end of the day, if they get banned, I might be the only person speaking out against the ban. At this point, though, I've noticed, much to my horror, that there are some people that believe that there's a middle ground to be struck. Well, say some people in the supposedly right-wing or libertarian or whatever community, we don't necessarily mind the fact that Donald Trump got banned off of Twitter. We just wish that there was a more transparent and objective methodology by which a president could be banned. Like a council or something. You could appeal the decision, we would know what the rules were, we would know who was voting to remove or not remove, and then it would be fine. You just democratize the tyranny more and we'll feel comfortable with it because we're fucking fence sitters. We're fake centrists. No, centrism is believing in absolute free speech. Free speech fanaticism would be, hey, let's get rid of all copyright law and let people make terroristic threats. That's the only way you can be a fanatic for free speech. You would have to go beyond believing in total unrestricted free speech, which I do, into the realm of thinking that even speech which directly incites harm would be fun. That's the only way to be a radical in favor of freedom. To believe that your freedom extends to a solipsist point, to the point where you can harm and abuse others, violate the NAP. You wouldn't even be standing with any libertarians at that point. It'd be crazy. There's no free speech middle ground. We are going to live in a free country, in a free world in which we have free expression, free speech, and can freely discuss our ideals, our ideas, and drive progress forward, or we're going to live in a stagnant world where a handful of billionaires will pick and choose China-style what we talk about. Those are your choices. There are no other options. There's no middle ground. There's no... I'll call it the European syndrome. The European syndrome for a middle ground on speech. Well, we just want to get rid of speech that's specifically hateful. It's obscene and taboo. That's the only thing that the First Amendment in the U.S. protects. The only point to the First Amendment was to allow people to violate what was British law, because they were British subjects at the time, and criticize the crown, criticize the clergy, criticize the bureaucrats, criticize their tax collector and a judge. You weren't allowed to do this under British law at the time if you were a British subject. It was illegal. The whole point of the First Amendment was to say that some crazy, half-disheveled dissident wandering through the streets screaming about revolution has a right to do that until he shoots somebody. It's to say that the person who's standing on the street corner rambling schizophrenically about whatever weird incarnation of God they believe in should be subject to no law preventing them from doing so until they attempt to impede or abuse other people. That if it is just words, if it is just expression, and there is no secondary effect, if they're not inciting a riot, if they're not harassing someone by chasing them around, refusing to allow them to object to their speech by leaving, if they're forcing someone to listen to them, If what they are saying is causing imminent and objective harm, if there's a victim, other than that, they should be free to say exactly what they fucking want to say. When Adolf Twitler, Jack Dorsey himself, banned Donald Trump and put out a presser the other day, what was the excuse given? A site that hosts the Ayatollah, that hosts Duterte, that hosts the Russian and Chinese state medias, who, by the way, are laughing all the way to the bank at the moment because this is basically the Beijingification of U.S. internet media. That same site said, Donald Trump did not explicitly break any rule at all. His fans misinterpreted what he said. They interpreted it as a call to violence. They interpreted the fact that he refuses to attend the inauguration as a dog whistle. Well, I don't care how people interpret what I say. The only thing that should be subject to any ruling by any body, whether it's government or not, should be explicitly the literal definition of what I am saying. If I say flowers and posies, I love peace, love beads and meditation, it does not mean that I'm saying smash the system. The two things are not equivalent unless you interpret it that way. That's your fault, dude. That's your fucking problem. You either side with absolute, total, unrestricted free speech and expression, total freedom of assembly, total freedom of religion, even kooky religions, cults and UFOs and weird shit like that, Scientology. You either believe that people have a right to engage in those behaviors, or you are saying that some third-party entity, whether elected or not, has the right to deprive them of that. You are essentially saying, if you're fence-sitting right now, if you haven't fully chosen a side, you're a centrist, a radical centrist. Well, I don't like hate speech. It's okay if you ban Nazis, but it's not okay if you ban me. You're a coward, is what you are. A bootlicking coward. You're siding by default with fascism. You're siding with authoritarianism at that point, because you're not fighting for freedom. It is at hazard right now. A handful of empowered billionaires that control virtually all human communication are attempting to destroy everyone who disagrees with their political views, and the incoming Beijing-Biden globalist administration that took over $100 million from Silicon Valley donors. You're essentially saying you have no problem if the U.S. government and U.S. industry are basically the same thing. So that companies, private groups supposedly, even though they platform government figures, even though they take government money in the form of Californian subsidies and a million other things, even though they supply USGS alerts, even though they supply NOAA, you're saying that it is okay if they help the government get around the Constitution based on the fact that they're not government entities, while the government crafts legislation favorable to their vertical monopolies. You are supporting fascism. You are, in effect, and it's not even in an insinuated manner, in a most direct manner, you're supporting tyranny. There's no other way to put it. There's no middle ground anymore on this issue. The internet was incepted as arguably the most radically libertarian experiment in modern history. But because of money, and because of the fact that money tends to corrupt, power tends to corrupt, what we've seen is that a handful of companies have formed an already illegal trust, an anti-competitive system, in which they seek to exclude all smaller competitors. They seek to exclude independent voices if mainline voices that offer more money to them tell them to do so. And they seek to destroy the First Amendment by virtue of the fact that there is no other modern public square for speech and debate. By the way, can I tell something to the liberals out there? To all the people like the Holts of the world. Right now, Jared Holt is very happy about the fact that Ali, for instance, was banned off Twitter. Oh, long overdue, says the bootlicker. When all of the people that you disagree with are banned, number one, who's going to speak for you when you're next? Because you will be. And number two, how the fuck are you supposed to actually attempt to promulgate your beliefs if everyone on the platform that's left already agrees with you? You've become an echo chamber. By the way, how does the site even support itself? I mean, Twitter at some point, I've lost about 10% of my audience on Twitter. By the way, I'm dormant there. I deleted all my tweets. I'm not posting anything there. The only reason that the account is there to accept news tip DMs and to exist because otherwise someone will impersonate me. Because people will assume that I have a Twitter because they think I'm pathetic. At what point does Twitter die? Because it has too much overhead. It's going to have to slash its workforce. If its stock plummets, if it no longer needs 100 servers and 50 of them can do the job and, it's half dormant, at what point do they fucking collapse? I hope they do, by the way. Jack Dorsey is Adolf Twitler in my mind, and that's his name now. Little Adolf. That's what I'm going to call the bastard. There's no middle ground on free speech. You either support it or you don't. Free speech, the only philosophical underpinning of the First Amendment can be construed as, interpreted as, is protecting that which is taboo, that which you hate. You have to protect speech that you fucking hate. You think it's obscene. You think the person's saying weird shit. They're nuts. They're evil. That's the only purpose of it. The British Crown definitely thought people were evil when they questioned the British Crown. Now all of a sudden people who question the tech tyrants, they're evil, they're fanatic, they're terrorists and stuff. We need to crack down on these people. And there will be bootlicking middle of the road sitting fence sitters that support it. Or at the very least they stand by and say nothing. Well, first they came for the socialists, dude. They're gonna come for you pretty soon. That's about all. Peace out.